I was, I was a scrawny little 15-year-old kid, and at the ninth hole, he wanted to buy me a beer. Just I'm like, no, he's underage. You can't do that. You can't do everything you ever heard about him. That's just the way he was. So,
okay, let's go.
All right, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Dad Head Chronicles podcast. My name is Ed, also known as the Dad Head. We got 5 questions today for you guys, and today I have a good friend, one who follows the baseball world. As you guys already know, it's a very small world, minor league baseball and Major League Baseball. I have Tom. Tom, thank you so much for joining us in 5 questions. How you doing today, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing well, Ed. Thanks so much for having me on. I mean, I've been listening to this podcast for a while, and I love the answers I've heard so far. And you're going to find some of my answers sound a little familiar because, for one, I'm a Yankee fan, and I know you already had one Yankee fan on there, and everying Donnie said was like,
Did we? Oh, I don't remember that guy.
Oh, you don't remember that? Okay, maybe I was dreaming about it or something. But I'm a lifelong baseball Yankee fan, especially, but a baseball fan. And I'm a Yankee fan, so let me just start with that. And for a large part of my life, from like 1980 to the early 1990s, you might know the Yankees weren't really a top team. That got me, there really wasn't a lot to cheer for in those days. Don Mattingly, of course, and some of the other hitters that they had. But watching Yankee games, though, you did get to see a lot of the other ballparks on TV, and like seeing Fenway, seeing that green monster, seeing those the reporting areas up on top, the big rooms they had on top. It was such a cool looking stadium.
Yeah.
Wrigley Field, of course, watching other baseball games, you see,
True.
Always wanted to see that. And Tiger Stadium, the old Tiger Stadium with that overhang, and just, the stories about how high you would have to hit the ball for it to, actually land on the field, but not be there was always the arguments of how that overhang affected home runs and stuff. And I just had to see that once before it closed. So we'll get into that, I hope. But yeah, loved the differences in the ballparks, and was eager to check them out once I got into a road trip.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole beauty about baseball, right? Because every dimension, every ballpark is different. It has their own dimensions and everything. Yep. And that's the beauty about them. So, all right. So, you know what? Actually, let's just jump right in, Tom. I want to get to know a little bit, want to get to know about you, right? The fan, like, you grew up a Yankee fan. So, when did you fall in love with the game of baseball? Like, what was that? Did you have that moment, that pivotal moment, or is it like, it's just a combination of moments? What was that for you?
It's mostly a lot of mid-70s stuff. A lot of it came from my mom. My mom was a Yankee fan. She grew up in Manhattan and always talked about how she, as a little girl, could travel by herself up to Yankee Stadium, see Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra, and all these other players. And that got me captivated right away. And then in the early 70s, the Yankees, started winning some games in World Series and stuff. So I got into it. But what really got me was baseball cards. That first Christmas or Holy Communion, whatever, where I got, like a 6
the big long stack
box of baseball cards, and just going through them. Loved the pictures on them, and loved especially flipping them over and seeing those old school, batting averages, and seeing, this guy was playing in the 1950s. You'd occasionally get an old card from, like, say, Frank Robinson or somebody in there. And Hank Aaron, I had a couple of them.
Yeah.
1974 was my first set, so he had just broken the record. And, there were a whole bunch of cards given out for him. And, I had like 3 or 4 of them. I eventually collected all of those. So baseball cards especially. And the other thing were box scores, the newspaper box scores. Open the newspaper, and after it got passed around the family, I wanted to see, how the team did, how each player up and down the lineup did, how the opposing players did, how the pitchers went. I just love that whole aspect of it. And when the Yankees would go on the road, and then maybe if it was in the Midwest and it was an hour late start, it might make the next day's newspaper, or you'd have to wait for the next day. But when it went out to the West Coast, and you had to wait an extra full day, and we didn't have ESPN or sports apps or anything. We had to wait kind of, for box scores to see the details of the game. And, just all that. I loved that whole aspect of it. And if I could just mention one more thing that helped me.
Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
So late 1970s, Yankees were doing well, of course. 1980, I got my first real job, and that was as a caddy for a country club on Long Island, where a lot of famous people played, got chances. I met Sean Connery there. Jim McKay, but I also met a bunch of the New York Islanders during their Stanley Cup.
Oh, that's
I'm a Ranger
awesome.
fan, but I met a lot of the Islander players, and I met some of the great Yankees. Whitey Ford, Mickey Mantle, I caddied for him, and Tommy John was the other one that I
Wait,
had.
you caddy for Mickey Mantle?
Yes, sir. If you scroll back on my Instagram, you will see a scorecard that I had.
That's insanity.
Yes, it was. I was, I was a scrawny little 15-year-old kid, and at the ninth hole, he wanted to buy me a beer. I'm like, no, he's underage. You can't do that. You can't do everything you ever heard about him. That's just the way he was. So, yeah, I mean, I was in love that whole time. Yankees gave me that great history, and I was just, in love with it right from that whole time. And then every year, I was like, all right, we'll come back next year. But
right.
Like I said, they didn't.
No, like they just like all of a sudden they just kept going to other things. But that's cool though. Like you actually get to have a piece of memorabilia that honestly not a lot of us will ever come close to, right? Like I mean, you got to caddy for Mickey Mantle.
Yes, and I got the scorecard that Bob Hope and Whitey Ford signed together.
Oh my God!
Mickey Mantle went to sign it, and he was eating a hot dog, and he actually kind of slipped, and mustard splattered all over the card. So he wiped it off. And he, I told him that the card was for my mother, and he's like, well, just tell your mom this is Mickey Mantle's mustard. And then he just kind of laughed. And I still have it. And if you look at the picture, you could actually see, if you can probably, I won't waste your time with it, but you could actually see the little mustard stain. This summer, I went on a road trip. I went to Tulsa, and they have a Mickey Mantle Day every year. And his sons were there. Sons have got to be in their mid to late 70s, I guess. And I got to tell them the story, show them the picture and stuff, and it was just like kind of a nice moment. And
that's cool.
I knew he played golf, but it was just kind of a nice little connection I had. So it brought that full circle.
Tom, you're making it very hard for me to hate a lot of Yankee fans, right? Because I'm a Clevelander, right? As you already know, it's a rivalry. But like, I tell this to Donnie, who's a mutual friend of ours, right? Donnie, who's on our Dad Has Chronicle Sports Show every Tuesday, Thursdays, not 8 p.m. And make sure you guys catch it on YouTube and all that. But what the whole point is the more and more I keep doing these podcasts, and the more I get to meet other people across the U.S. when it comes to baseball, it becomes extremely hard for you to hate or dislike fans of other teams, right? Because for the longest time, I did not like the Tigers. I have a friend of mine who's a Tigers fan, right? And it's like, we're all just fans.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we just it's just for fanatics.
You could just enjoy the game so much more once you cross that line.
Oh my God, so much better. I can sit down and watch. Like I'm literally, right now at the time of this recording, the Detroit Tigers and the Seattle Mariners are playing, right? So I got it on the side, and I'm like, I have no animosity towards it. It's like, I'm not going to say, I was like, I don't want to watch it. Yeah, I'm going to watch it because it's, like Derek Skubal is one of the best pitchers out there right now.
Yep.
I mean, this dude is legit, right? So you want to see how he does.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And the minor leagues also contributed a lot to that. I'm in the Hudson Valley. For the longest time, the Hudson Valley's Renegades were a Tampa Bay Ray affiliate, right?
Yep.
So here I am, 15 minutes from the ballpark, and the Rays, farm team is coming in, coming through there. And what are you going to do? You're going to boo them?
No,
you have to cheer for them. But now what happens when the Staten Island Yankees play them? So you're just kind of clapping for everybody, cheering for you don't.
That's the beauty about minor league baseball, right? Yeah. That you are able to cheer for that player or that team because they're in the minor leagues. Like they're like, for example, the Hudson Valley Renegades, right? Granted, yes, they are a Yankee farm system now, but like you said before, they weren't.
Yeah.
It's a wild world, right? Like minor league baseball. Yep. Oh my God, people need to get into minor league baseball. It's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean, Mets going. I mean, Syracuse going from the Washington to the Mets. I mean, again, rivalries. Like, hey, New York Mets. Here's our entire farm system. It's it's like.
It's wild. Like I live down here in Raleigh, right? But like Durham Bulls, right? That's a Tampa Bay farm system. Yeah. You go down 2.5 hours down the road, and you got the Charlotte Knights, who it's a Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, of all teams,
farm system of all places, all the way down here, right? Like most of their farm systems is down here. I don't know why they don't have anything close, but it's pretty cool, right? To see things like that, and you get to see. It's like, you know what? I used to know that player right before they got into the big leagues. That's a cool thing that you can tell.
For sure.
All right, now question number 2, my friend.
Ready.
All right. give me some memories of your favorite sports. Like, I mean, obviously you just told us about your being a caddy and all that, but give me some memories, you growing up or now as a sports fan.
Okay, yeah. So when the Yankees were doing well in the late '70s, there, I was still kind of like, all right, you have to be asleep by 9 or 10 o'clock for school tomorrow. So
Right.
Chris Chambliss's famous home run, I was sound asleep. All the kids in school were talking about it because they got so I missed that. It wasn't until the later teams, when like Jim Leyritz, hit the comeback home run, and Bernie Williams, when he hit that home run against Boston, extra innings shot. I actually was at that game in 1999 playoff. That was like my best infield action that I remember seeing. And it was,
That's cool.
Again, I had work the next day, so it's 8th inning, 9th inning. Oh, okay, we're going to extras here. 10 o'clock, 10 inning comes in. And
Yeah.
all right, how many innings can we stay? It's a playoffs. You kind of have to, right?
Like, I mean, it's playoffs. That's different.
We got to get up early, and Bernie comes up and boom, just.
Like, game over. Let's go home.
Yeah, we got it. He did it. And I actually met him last year and likewise got to tell him that story.
He's Bernie Williams, man.
Yeah, sitting in a local restaurant with his wife. I just finished breakfast. Him and his wife. So I usually wear a collared shirt, like a polo or whatever. But this time I was wearing a Yankee polo. And he comes in. He's like, "Hey, Yankee." So I figured before he orders or whatever, I could go over and tell him, because there was a social media question that went around. What's similar to this? What's the best memory you remember at the ballpark? And it's like, it's got to be Bernie Williams. I posted that, and I'm like, hey, I just used you as a answer on a social media question. So I led up to the question, and then he kind of bowed his head, thank you. And his wife's like, all right, what did you do in 1999? And he's like, well, I might have hit a walk-off home run. Like all humble and stuff. So it was just such a cool, fan moment for me. So that's
cool. Like,
he's
so personable that you get to sit there and talk to him about it, and he's okay with this.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I kind of left, quickly. I didn't want to, like I said, if his food was
because he's eating and all that.
Yeah. So that was a favorite for sure. Oh, I mean, there's a lot. They all kind of blend. An early one that I remember was seeing it was Kevin Moss and Jesse Barfield hitting back-to-back upper deck home run shots, one to left field, one to right field, and just seeing upper deck shots. You don't see that every day, and it was really cool to see two of them back-to-back, and then to find out that was the first time it had ever happened at Yankee Stadium. Anyway, that
wow,
pretty wild. When I was doing my stadium chase and I went to a Marlins game, the leadoff hitter, and I forgot who it was, shame on me, but hit a home run on the first pitch of the game.
Whew.
That was the first time it had happened, I think, since 1963. And it happened to the Mets, and it was Pete Rose who did it. So it was like it's a really wild, random thing.
Yeah.
So it was really cool when you saw it. And you're like, wait, nobody else has got a run. It was just that first pitch home run, right? That was, it's 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and so those are some highlights for me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
you got some good stories, my friend. I gotta say, those are some pretty good ones. Not a lot of people can sit here and tell me, like, oh yeah, I met Mickey Mantle, was his caddy, and hanging out with Bernie Williams and stuff like that. Sure. That's awesome. I love that. All right, as you know. I told this to my wife and I tell this to my friends. We're not superstitious. We're just a little stitious, right? In a game of baseball, fans, we all are. Like, so for example, if I know that my team is losing and I'm wearing a jersey, I might go upstairs quietly and change my jersey or change my shirt or my hat. I may or may not have done that. I may or may. And by now a lot of people know this story, the 2016 World Series, right, where the Cleveland Indians at that point were playing the Chicago Cubs, and then we were scoring runs, but as soon as my wife left the bathroom and came downstairs, we were losing. I'm like, I told her to go back upstairs and stay in the bathroom. No joke. She still tells that story to our friends till this day. So with that being said, give me some of your traditions, some of your rituals. Do you have anything like that, right now?
When I go to a ballpark, one of the things I have to do is do a walk around, and my favorites are the ones where you could do the complete walk around on the inside. If you go down a little bit left field and right, it's like, all right, that's nice. You have a nice ballpark, but I wanted to see it from the, so that's always a thing. finding the local, the local craft beer, and also the whatever their food choices. Valerie, we all love Valerie, and she has her food thing. But I remember it was like 2012, Yankees in Minnesota, and the Yankee beat reporters in the stands. The Minnesota Twins had just come out with this new pork on a stick thing for people to try. And she's standing there holding up, pork on a stick, and a drunk Yankee fan walks up to her side and like just chomped it. Took it right and, she's standing there, and you get to see like she's getting really upset. But that happened to be the year I was going there, so I was like, all right, I got to try this pork on a stick thing. And ever since that, I kind of was like, yeah, all right. Whenever I go to stadium, I'm going to try to find out what their favorite or most popular food item is. So some people want to just get a hot dog. I want to find out what the local fans get.
The local food is
the local beer and the local food item. And then later in the game, I do want to get, and I don't care how cold it is, I want to get an ice cream cone. And I'm not,
you got to get ice cream at a ballpark, right?
Not in a helmet though. I want a cone. No Dippin' Dot crap. I want the actual.
You want the actual cone?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I like it. So, I dig it. Yeah. I like that. And by the way, really quick, the person you just said about Valerie, that is Stadium Food Girl. You guys should follow her on Instagram. You should follow her on. She has her YouTube channel and on TikTok. She does some great things when it comes to food items in minor league baseball. So I'm sorry I cut you off.
No. But yeah, I just assume we all know. But yes, for anybody who didn't.
And so any besides, okay, I like that, the 360. A lot of people do that. Like, they want us like, no. I have to go and I got to go take a look, go around and do my circle around the ballpark, which I do the same thing. It's like, I got to make sure that I look around and, scope around what the food items are and things like that. But no one has really said that about the ice cream. And I got to say, I like that.
Yeah.
You don't want the ice cream helmet. You want the soft serve or whatever, but it has to be in a cone.
I appreciate all the people collecting the helmets and stuff. I think some of them look fantastic, but yeah, it's just not something I want to, carry with me. I go into a stadium empty-handed and kind of walk out, other than like maybe a hat or something. Kind of the same way I came in.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that. No, you're right. Absolutely. You know what? I did stop collecting so many things because I have so much stuff in my house. My wife is getting mad at me, so I was like, you're right, honey. I should stop. Yeah. So I've slowed down on the, now when I go to the ballpark, it's if I don't have a hat, I'll get a hat, or I will get a pin. Now, that's the only thing.
I got a pin thing right up
here. Oh
wow,
look at that! You're right.
But so few of them are baseball because they're mostly national parks and ski things and so forth. I've had such lousy luck, finding pins. But
yeah, it's hard.
I've also
to do
filled that up, so I'm like, should I maybe restart that and try to start collecting them again? But yeah.
But you're right, though. Not a lot of places have the pins nowadays, which is a little disappointing, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to see that. So, all right. Let me ask you this, and this last two questions, by the way, are the most that people are get a little deep in, right? And I did that for a reason, right? But in your opinion, how has baseball really shaped or changed your life?
It has to be the travel. I started out going to some of the local ballparks. I mean, Yankees and Mets, of course. I grew up in Queens, so I went to Shea Stadium a lot because it was only like 2 or 3 train stops away. The whole thing with going to a Met game was like, could I get off the train before they collected my ticket so I could use a ticket for another time? But,
right.
You didn't need to really plan anything. It's like, hey, let's go. And again, it could be Yankee fans, but we would all go. We would have a couple beers, have fun. So that was always great. It was a good bonding thing with friends, but just starting to travel around the country a little bit more. My first road trip was actually for football. My first stadium trip was to the old Cleveland Brown Stadium.
No way.
Yes, but I was on my way to see the Giants play Indianapolis, and it's a long trip. So I'm like, oh wait, like Cleveland's on the way. I can pick that up on the way there. So
yeah,
yes, the Browns get credit as my first.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry at the same time.
Yeah. I won't tell you who they played and what the score was. But,
because it's not going to. No, I don't want to know.
But that was such an awesome trip, and I also saw like the Ohio Caverns. I forgot where exactly in Ohio that was. It was just again a little deep place to stop and see something that I had never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also went to the Hall of Fame. The Canton.
Oh, the Canton Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so I got to do like
Football Hall
all
of
those
Fame.
things. I'm like, man, look at that, 4 different things. I really wanted to do one thing. I wanted to see the Giants play in Indianapolis, but I made a good road trip out of it. And then the next year, I'm like, all right, that worked well. Like I said, I knocked off Boston and Baltimore, but I did a road trip through the Midwest and seeing ballparks and football stadiums. And again, same thing, just seeing more and more of the country, seeing different cities that I like. Cincinnati. Why would I, there's really nothing else that would take me. I love
Sure.
Cincinnati now, but because of a baseball game, I ended up saying, all right, this is a cool place to go. And anytime I get an excuse to go, I do it now. And so you get all your major league teams. That gives you 25. There's multiple cities, but 28 cities, I guess, that let you, that you maybe never would have seen before. But baseball got me to them, and then you know where I'm going with this. Minor league baseball, all of a sudden, it's like all those other little cities you mentioned, Durham and Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte, I went to a football game, but there's just so many smaller cities all over the country that I got to visit. Because of baseball, and then all the people that I've gotten to meet, all the different people I've gone to games with as a result of, social media quests, or social, just, interest in social. Oh, you're going to be in town, but let me know when you go, and we'll go to the game together. I mean, that to me is how I think it's changed me the most. It just given me a greater appreciation for things, and just an opportunity to see things I might never would have tried. Am I trying to get to every minor league ballpark? Not exactly, but if it works out, great. But I won't say it like I love going to Durham and Charlotte last year, but I also love the 3 national park sites that you have over there with the cow pens and the Kings Mountain. I mean, just really kind of cool to walk around, and together they, to me, make a great road trip. So to me, that's what it's done for you. So let me see a lot more of the country than I might have otherwise. Just beautiful way to stitch together a few hours in the car every day and just see something, a little new, a little exciting. Maybe not exciting to everybody, but for me, it absolutely is.
Oh, no, national parks are cool. I love hiking. I
sure.
actually just did a 5-mile hike the other day on Friday, so I felt great just to get out.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those that I don't put headphones on when I go hiking.
Yep.
I like to just take in nature, right? And then so good for the soul.
Yeah. Yeah, so that same road trip, I actually ended up, it was like a Tuesday, and my next game wasn't the Friday. So I'm like, all right, what am I going to do in Kansas City for the next few days? I'm like, oh, screw this. I'm going to go out to see Mount Rushmore. It's like,
oh, no.
500 miles. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that in a day. And so on the way back, I saw Badlands National Park. And again, I'm like, I didn't know what a national park really was. I heard of Yosemite and Yellowstone and stuff, but Badlands, it was just an exit off the interstate. So I'm like, all right, it won't take me out of the right way. And I'm like, this is really cool. I really enjoyed it. And so I alternated years of going to national parks and ballparks. That year after I was like, I got to see more national parks. And I went out to Yellowstone. Yosemite and the Redwood Forest and those trees out in California. And I'm like, all right, well, San Francisco is home this weekend and Oakland's home the next. So, all right, in the week in between, I'm going to see these national parks. I'm like, yeah, this is like life-changing stuff in some cases.
That's amazing, Tom.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So it's worked out for me a lot. And like I said, some years it's more national parks, some years it's more ballparks, and even football stadiums also, they, blended into things. But yeah, it's just, finding a few things in the same area and then just, getting the schedule to work out and just, doing what you can do. So
that's cool. And I think that a lot of people really should realize that, like, okay, you're going to go on a sports trip. Awesome. I love it. Good for you. But make sure that you are also taking into what you have around you, right? And
Sure.
whether there's a museum, a national park, or whatever it is, because that's why, that's what defines that area in which you're at, right? So why not take into all of that?
Yeah. I mean, you can make a trip to Cleveland and go to, Cuyahoga National Park during the day, right?
Correct.
Spend 4 or 5 hours in there and then go. The baseball game doesn't start till 7:00. So, what are you going to?
Correct.
It's a great way to spend a few hours in between.
You get to do a lot of cool things like the West Side Market that's there in Cleveland by the ballpark.
Yeah. Right.
Great ballpark, great area to go and look at their food. Oh, it's so good, their food. There's this one stand, they sell these sausages there with sauerkraut and ballpark mustard. Oh, have mercy. Now I'm hungry. It's it's almost 9 o'clock at night. We're all talking, and we're talking about food here.
Exactly.
But that's what I mean, though, right? Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
get to chase that, you get to experience all of those in Cuyahoga National Park, or go driving about 45 minutes down the road and get yourself to the NFL Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Which is right there in Canton.
Hmm.
And you got like a bunch of little minor league ballparks, because in Akron has one. The
Yeah.
Akron, the Rubber Ducks. You got the Lake County Captains, which is not too far.
Still need that one. Yep.
Did you get to go while you were in Cleveland? You may not have, but did you get to go to where the Cleveland the Buckeyes played at? The Negro Leagues team that were there. There's
No, I
like
did not. No.
So whenever you get back, and they have spent some money there to
Yeah.
to revamp that, like all there is like the ticket booth and one of the walls and some other stands
Right.
that's still left there, but it is still there.
Cool.
Right there in Cleveland. So I highly suggest for everybody to, when you guys go, definitely go take a look at that. So
Nice.
all right. So obviously we're both baseball fans and we're football fans, but and you grew up a baseball fan. But let me ask you this: why baseball? Like that's your fifth question right there. So
Yeah,
why
that
why
was the one
baseball?
like I had a question mark there. Why baseball? I think it's just because you can get as close to it, or just stay
Mhm.
away from it a little bit. Baseball's a long season, right? I mean, I always tell people I'm not worried about how my team does in April, and I don't get too excited if they get off to a fast start. But
Agreed.
if you think of things from like April to October, yeah, that's a long season. If you start thinking about things like spring training and the Arizona Fall League and the December meetings, it's like you have most of the year covered. So yeah, do you have to spend every hour thinking about it? No, but
No.
if there's you can certainly read about it. I'm a Sabre member, so I participate in that too. I like the history and stuff. I'm not really super big on the numbers. My brother-in-law is, and he's great with it.
I'm with you there. Like I'm on the history part.
Yeah. So I mean, I can read about that. I get books from them, and so it's a great way. It's a pastime. It helps you pass the time, and that's why I love it. I mean, football can be very intense for a while. But hockey, when the playoffs come, there's nothing like playoff hockey or being at a hockey game. I'm a fair weather Knick fan. When the Knicks are doing great, and they've been doing well the last few years, I keep up with them. But baseball is just it's always around you. There's always people that want to talk about baseball. There's always people that talking about doing something for baseball. When the schedule comes out, the major league schedule is out already. So a lot of the minor leagues one. I'm already planning travel for next year. So it just kind of lets you just stretch your mind a little bit, and
like I've never been here. All right, so
yeah,
I want to hit this.
I work at that desk, and I have that map behind me, and I'm like, all right, I haven't been to that part of the country in 5 years or 10 years. What ballparks are over there that I haven't been to or haven't been to, and that's how my brain works. It gets me in trouble sometimes, but it's just awesome.
That's amazing. That's what it is. Because we're all the same, right? Like we all get excited when the schedule comes out. We all, and then obviously, Hurricanes fans here, right? So we're watching some hockey. You are 100% right. Going to a hockey game, it is an experience that people should experience. That is one of the coolest things that people should do. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God. The hits are real there, right? Like you see it on the TV, but the hits are when you see it in person, the fights and the goal, when they scored a goal and the alarm goes off. Oh, so it's such a cool experience.
For sure.
100%. I agree with you there. Man, yeah. I love baseball. Like baseball will always be, as you can see behind me, I got a bunch of baseball stuff, right? But baseball will always be my first love.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love me some football. I wish my Browns were better, but here I am. Right.
But and I gotta say, like I mentioned, I don't do the football helmets, but the hat thing, a few of you guys have gotten me, rethinking that a little bit. Like I don't get a hat for every team I visit, but I do kind of want a hat or something from every trip. So if I go to see 2 or 3 ballparks, I might say, all right, what's the one hat that I want, or one
which one I want more than the other.
So, but I am up to 50 hats all of a sudden. So
it gets there. It sneaks up on you, don't it?
It really does. It does.
That's amazing, Tom. Thank you so much for that. I got to know you a little bit more See, now you're part of that 1% of the Yankee fans that I don't dislike.
Yeah, exactly right. We're not all bad. And I know some of us are cocky. We like to rest on our laurels a little bit. And, we'll probably
Absolutely.
do that soon. But
Yeah, you know what? It's okay, and it's okay. Enjoy it, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
good for you guys that you get to listen. At the end of the day, a lot of people are jealous at the fact that, like, the Yankees are who the Yankees are because there's sometimes no in between with the Yankees, right? It's either you like
right.
them or you love them. It's just how it goes,
Yep.
And if you're a fan of another team, you probably don't like them.
Yep, for sure. And Toronto's won, so it's all right. Yeah, they haven't won in what 25 years, 30
A
years.
long time, yeah.
But Milwaukee, I would love to see them win in Seattle. Like I said, I think we said this before. Seattle also, I would, I think that's kind of what I'm rooting for. If the Yankees, don't have a miracle comeback, just see somebody new. We don't need the Dodgers.
Just get somebody in, somebody new in there, right? That'll be cool to see.
Let a new fan base be happy for a while.
I absolutely get to enjoy that because not a lot of people get to enjoy that. I mean, I'm blessed enough to have seen at least the very least see my Guardians or my Indians at that point, make it to the World Series when a lot of people never experienced that.
Yeah.
Seattle fans have never experienced that.
Sure.
I wish we would have won, but it is what it is.
Yep.
So, Tom, thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, it's mostly Instagram these days. I have it, and Blue Sky.
Yeah.
So Instagram, it's Tom T Take Two. It's my second Instagram account, and Blue Sky, it's simply T Thresh, first initial and last name TTHRASH.
I love it. And I'll make sure to put all the information on the notes so that way you guys make sure to follow Tom. We do follow each other on Instagram and on Blue Sky as well.
And Threads.
Yep, and Threads. I got to do a better job with Blue Sky. I've been concentrating. You got to, there's too many of them.
Two of them are just like one. I'll never know like why something did well on one and not on another.
It's insanity, right? Like you just don't know which one will blow up.
And the ones that blow up, it's like, that wasn't even one of my best posts.
Right. It's so frustrating sometimes. It's so frustrating, Tom. I get it, man. And guys, before we get off here, make sure you guys are following me on all the socials. I am on Instagram, Twitter, Threads as well, TikTok, and then obviously the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are following that because we do put some live shows every Tuesday and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So the Dad Hat Chronicle Sports Show, as well as on Mondays. Now we are releasing a new show. Well, actually, one in the mornings is Carolina specific. More to come on that. We'll be, a good friend of mine and I will be talking about Carolina sports, North Carolina, South Carolina. But at night at 8:30, we do have where we talk about not the non-major sports, right? The sports that not a lot of people talk about, here in the U.S. So we do talk about some soccer, right? Bundesliga. We talk about Formula One. We talk about FCS football, right? FCS deserves some love, man. There's some cool FCS teams out there. So make sure you guys are following that. It's all on YouTube. And if you are interested in coming on 5 questions, please send me a message. I'll be more than happy to get you on because obviously that's how we got Tom here on the podcast. Again, Tom, thank you so much, my friend.
And thank you. Really nice talking to you. Finally get to talk face to face.
I know, right? Face to face. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Cheers, bud.
Y ya no hay más que hablar. Lo que fue bonito, pero lo que duele más es lo que no se ha escrito.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, this is Kelly Robinson, the Minor League Nerd. My YouTube channel explores the history of minor league baseball teams. More than just stats, we delve into team lineage, sharing stories from current franchises to obscure one-year wonders.
I'm Paul Caputo, and on the Baseball by Design podcast, I talk to minor league baseball teams, designers, and other super interesting people about what these minor league baseball logos mean, and I talk a little bit about ice cream helmets.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTommaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey everyone, it's Eric from the great state of Kansas.
This is Johnny from the New Orleans Baby Cakes Memorial Museum.
And we are the Earn Fun Average Podcast,
where we talk to a variety of guests about their love of baseball and have fun doing it.
America, lower your standards.
Average is what we do best.
This is Patrick
and Corey
of BaseballMapper.com, and we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball, so get on the site and find a team near you today.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at @PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
Learn more about Curve Brim Media at curvebremmedia.com.